We're gonna throw some images on and just get your. This is sort of the wrestling Rorschach. I don't know what you call it. Okay.
Okay. Oh, very nice fella. I met him at a wedding. We hit it off. He's been a wonderful supporter of mine. And I will say, his fiance owes me $10. His wife owes me $10. That's a long story. That was before she met him, so I'm not holding it against him. However, he's really proof that there's life after WWE. He got let go and then totally just turned it around. He's like, let's do everything. No rules. I'll go where I want, do what I want. And he's doing it.
That's awesome.
A guy that everyone thinks I am friends with and I've wrestled a lot and I've never even met him. We were supposed to a couple times and then they all fell through. Doing a wonderful job. Very entrepreneurial and understands the business of it all very well. He comes out to Yellow Brick Road and I don't like it.
You mean Elton John?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Ted Knight, a huge inspiration to me. I was on a YTV show called Splat-A-Lot. Yes. And I played a Viking, and this was like my muse of just a dumb. What's so wonderful is that you think he's an asshole, and then you look deeper and you realize there's simply nothing there.
Great.
Oh my goodness! This is Wild Bull Curry, is it not?
Correct.
Just another example of people do not look like this anymore. And if they do, they're certainly not paraded out in the street and put on posters. And, that real element of the freak show of wrestling.
And he was a tough guy, a real life tough guy, my understanding.
Very tough guy. And one of those guys that was, before the really big boom, but a guy who was so successful and probably not given enough credit.
Okay.
I was just talking about Vic Tayback. He was in one of those he was in the horrible Tales from the Dark Side, a wrestling episode.
Who was Mel?
Yes.
Okay.
He's
Vic
a manager.
Tayback, was that his name? Vic?
Yes. Yep. Yes. He was a manager, and he was managing a demon against a Hulk Hogan character.
Okay.
A demon that came out of a portal. Iron Man, this era of wrestling doesn't exist anymore, where even the minor characters are clear. You know them, and I liken it almost to like the first 5 years of Saturday Night Live, where you ended up knowing everybody. And then even, Paul Schaefer was the musical director and that, sure. The announcer, and they were like every single person was over. And that's a guy who made the most of whatever he had.
He is still one of my favorite records. He passed away not too long ago from Hamilton, Ontario. And what I loved about him was he never won. Yeah. And I don't ever want to see him win because that would ruin it for me. And he had the leather. It's not in the picture, but and there was all this secrecy about what was behind the leather. Was there metal or something like that?
That was the best. Or when Iron Sheik would tap his boot to load it up, and you're like, can you just explain that to me physically? Very interested.
And then the other thing, having seen Mike Sharp, because I went to a lot of wrestling at Maple Leaf Gardens, he was very vocal with grunting, and it made me laugh. It was funny. He was funny.
Yes. He was a funny guy and a real, like a modern day clown.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
we got Mel here. We got Mel.
Oh, Mel. Sorry.
Yeah. I was just talking about how Mel Brooks is really lucky where most of his bad movies are completely forgotten.
What, the homeless one was terrible.
Yeah, Life Stinks.
Men in Tights was terrible.
Men in Tights. Dracula Dead and Loving It was not that good.
Yeah, I don't even know that one.
Yeah, and it had Steven Weber and Leslie Nielsen. It was Leslie Nielsen as Dracula.
Okay.
It didn't, whatever. Oh, now there's a gimmick.
Yeah.
Shall we say? I was more of a Green Hornet man myself.
My friend made out with her at a Comic-Con. She was 160 years old, but
I'll tell you who I met.
He still had it.
met at a Comic-Con was Lee Merriweather, who was one of the Catwomen, and she was
yes.
also Lily Munster in like the Munsters TV movie after the TV show.
I know Lee Merriweather a little bit.
Yeah. And I told her I had a crush on her, and it was just as she was taking a sip of water, and it startled her, and she began to choke, and I felt horrible.
Nice job. Yeah, I made Sarah Jessica Parker cry right before she went on the red carpet.
Oh my God!
It wasn't intentional. I just mentioned my cousin Marjorie, who I brought up earlier, and they were very good friends, and Marjorie had died. I felt terrible, but anyway, she was nice enough. Yes, the Carol Burnett show, of course.
Vicki Lawrence, one of the few celebrities who will not answer my tweets. I've tried. Oh Lord, I have tried and tried. She has a really good episode of her talk show, Vicki, where Sting, Rick Rude, and Johnny B. Bad are on.
Oh, well,
she has a really
I don't have any connections to her, unfortunately.
Danhausen is an unusual creature. I cannot explain his popularity. I do not understand his popularity. I've wrestled him only a handful of times, and yet when we've had Coffee and Underwear, he was a guest when we'd be on shows together. Very much an Abbott to my Costello. Unfortunately, he's just so incredibly annoying.
Okay,
but in a joyful way.
Okay. With wrestling, but I have been exposed to this guy through social media mostly, and then the research I've done on him since then. I find him to be completely fascinating, completely brilliant, completely funny, and none of it really makes sense when it all ties into wrestling, but it totally does at the same time. So I'm just excited. So without further ado, the amazing RJ City.
Hello, thank you. This is so sweet of you.
Oh, thank you, man. Wait, it's sweet of you.
Well, it's sweet of both of us.
There we go.
But before we begin, and I don't want to throw you off, I have two things I would like to speak to you about, if that's okay.
Sure.
One, I had also done the research because I can be very neurotic, and I read that you were a PA for Shining Time Station.
Yes.
Did you meet Didi Khan?
Yes, she was the sweetest woman. She gave me like $100 when we rapped for no reason. Amazing. Her and Schemer. There was a character, Schemer. He was terrific. I can't remember his name. And the interesting thing about that, and you'll love this, which was George Carlin was Mr. Conductor, and they would shoot him in what was then blue screen, which is now green screen. I have no idea, as a colorblind man, why that happened. And he was changed from Carlin to Ringo. And as you can see behind me, I'm a Beatles fanatic. So I've got this sort of not nice story, I guess. But so I wasn't, first of all, allowed. The major production part of it closed. And then they brought in Ringo, and he would literally shoot with a very small crew in front of a blue screen. But a lot of the executives and stuff I was still friendly with, so I was very curious about, Ringo, what was he like, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, apparently one guy, a fan, had all three signatures of John, Paul, and George, and he needed Ringo to
the hardest ones to get.
Especially now. And Ringo wouldn't sign it.
He was too busy trying to find out what Thomas was doing today.
Exactly.
Do you know the storyline reason? How they explained Carlin and Ringo?
No.
They were allegedly... Ringo was George Carlin's cousin from the North Pole. That was the explanation.
I remember the woman. She was a British woman who ran the show. She was the executive producer. She bought all of the some reverend guy did all of the original Shining Time with the train.
Right.
He was I can't remember his name either. He wasn't there. I don't know if he was even alive when I was doing that. But she had made so much money, this woman, off of this franchise, and As Willie Nelson said, I'm never too hip for the money. I'm completely blown away. I barely get by, and I've never figured out how to make a lot of money. So when I see people that do, it blows my mind.
At a certain point, you go, I've lost my morals. I'm fine without the morals, and I still don't have the money. So what is the equation here?
It's exactly true. And you can yes.
Do you recall that we have met before?
Well, I'm going to bring up one of the things I did in researching for this was I watched the documentary on you, which was on YouTube. And I saw you standing in front of Ted Reeves Arena. And that was Tommy Dreamer's horror, whatever
House
it was.
Of Hardcore.
Yeah, House of Hardcore.
Yes.
And I was participated in that. And so I thought maybe we had met there, but I don't recall.
Well, not only did we meet there, and that I believe was the only place we met, there is a deleted scene from the documentary when I tell the story of how you bumped me from my spot and didn't even realize it.
No, I'm clueless. I'm completely.
Yes. So
I actually was drinking. I got drunk at a place 2 blocks away, but I love the experience. We'll talk about Tommy in a minute because I know you think highly of him. I do too.
Yes. He called me. I hadn't really known him at the time. We wrestled a couple shows, and he said, "We're in Toronto. I want to do something with you. I think he enjoyed my promos. I want you to come out like you're a surprise, and it's a non-surprise. Right. And you'll come out and say the surprise is I'm going to sing. So I'll start to sing. Lights go out, lights come on. Rhino, he'll give you the gore." I'm like, this is the best spot ever. I can roll. I know what I'm doing.
He wouldn't gore me.
Rhino.
He wouldn't gore me. He said, he'll kill me.
So